Well, there are a huge number of EV haters and deniers who said it would never happen. Even this week, people are saying it isn't real, should be cancelled. Guess who was wrong? Well, it may be years late, but better late than never. And what a dramatic launch. Never in the history of any launch has any product attracted this much attention, this much interest, and this many pre-orders. And it's not like an iPhone or a new graphics card. This is a $70,000 monster of a car, unlike any other ever in history. Even the first petrol cars, when they appeared on the streets, they looked just like the previous steam engine cars. Not the Cybertruck. I'm Dave. This is Dave Takes It On, and this is a Cybertruck special. Don't say you haven't been warned. When it first announced in 2017, the Cybertruck presented so many problems to manufacture. Not like the launch of a refresh model or the introduction of a new saloon car. This was something totally different. It was intended to answer all the problems that current pickup trucks are now experiencing. Lack of sales, intense competition between brands, features normally seen on a Toyota Corolla family saloon, emasculation, and what can best be described as a total boredom amongst the buyers and drivers. Yeah, they love their pickups, but for many, they're simply a work tool. Chuck your tools in the back, a few bags of sand and cement, and head off to work. They were very little change from the 30s and 40s and 50s. And that's what they liked about them, tradition. But about 10 years ago, a slight movement away from that began to trickle through. The manufacturers began to notice a shift away from utilitarian pickups and sedans towards bigger, better equipped SUVs. These became, over here, our Chelsea tractors. Most people, certainly over here, didn't use a pickup truck. They never really caught on. Then Land Rover and Range Rover really caught on and began launching luxury models. And most people discovered that apart from 1 or 2 weekends a year, they were never used off-road. They just became luxury giant vehicles, totally unsuited really to our car parks, very tricky McDonald's drive-through and narrow streets. But some people loved them. Back in the States, no such problem. Trucks were trucks and they were for real men. Leave your tools in the back of a pickup truck in Preston. They won't be there in the morning, but your flatbed will be a mini swimming pool. Lucky somebody kindly took the tools out first. When Texas, try to borrow the tools and you meet a Colt 45 head-on. Different world. But it was too late. The manufacturers, absolutely certain of the market, began to ponsify the traditional pickup truck. Well, first the cabs grew. So originally you might just put your illegal immigrant workers into the flatbed at the back, but social norms now said they had to have a seat. What next? Seat belts? This is the land of the free. So cabs with 4, 5 or 6 seats were added. Heaven forbid, they were never intended to carry the family. Mates down at the pub, yeah, guys on a camping trip, deliverance style, but not women and kids. But the manufacturers had already decided. Yes, you did. So pickups went from a utilitarian 20 or 30,000 and rocketed into Land Rover, Range Rover territory. $50,000, $60,000, going up well over $100,000, with some models asking utterly ridiculous $145,000 for a pickup that many still just wanted to chuck the tools into. Now they didn't dare. Manufacturers got greedy. And 10 years later, the market has just about dried up. If the old pickup truck breaks down beyond economical repair, then they'll get a new one. Otherwise, just repair it. And above all, don't spend $100,000. Just keep it for as long as you can. So into all this, Tesla arrived and was never one to follow the crowds. From the very first true model, well, I say true because the first was simply a Lotus body and chassis stuffed full of batteries and an electric motor. The first model was the Model S. And was that different? Oh, yes, it was. 5-door family saloon, massive boot, trunk, fruit, whatever you call it. And I could do 0 to 60 in just over 3 seconds, which later became well under 3 seconds as normal and under 2 seconds with a little fiddling of the figures. Still, that for far less than 100,000 was unheard of. The nearest exotic true sports car, like the Ferrari, Lamborghini, cost over $250,000, and it wasn't even as fast. It only had 2 seats. It was noisy. Well, then the Model 3 was an evolution with single-piece casting for the front and rear chassis, developed further with the Model Y with the structural battery pack that didn't need a chassis. But Elon's dream, ambition and target was always the dinky or the Matchbox toy. Just think, one-piece chassis, a body shell pressed or cast in a single piece, bolt on a few doors, bonnet and boot, and you get an 8-piece car that you can churn out all day long for absolutely nothing. The Model 3 Giga casting machine was only ever made by one company in the world, and even they turned him down initially with a, well, we'll have a look into it, which Elon took as, yeah, we can. But the dinky toy was and still is the dream. 2-piece car construction, no welding, just drop one on top of the other, a few bolts, and you've got the lowest production cost you could ever imagine. Now make it out of stainless steel, and you have an indestructible machine that is pretty enough like the DeLorean sports car, Back to the Future, that it doesn't need painting. Hey, that's another huge saving. Painting is the most costly and laborious process after the battery pack. It didn't work, and hasn't still to this day. To get it indestructible, the stainless steel needs to be quite thick, and quite thick stainless steel is impossible to bend. Well, at least bend around corners and curves. So after inventing and building the world's largest stainless steel bending press, he simply said, well, if we can't bend it into curves, let's have no curves. Well, the design team immediately agreed, then set off in a totally different direction, totally hidden from Elon, for when his stupid idea failed, they would have an alternative. But when it failed, Elon just said, no, carry on, this is going to work. Well, today we see the result, and while it is a compromise, he still can't press or cast the body in a single piece. It's definitely a Marmite vehicle. You either love it and hail it the best thing since ring pull cans were invented by Ernie on the 17th of April 1959 in Ohio, or you absolutely hate it and think Elon might just have finally cracked up. Well, both could actually be true. They're not mutually exclusive. But the attention it's created, even or especially by those who hate it, has made this the most talked about, written about, tweeted and Googled item that's ever been invented and put up for sale. It's staggering. It also now holds the record for the most pre-orders ever for any product in history. It's not exactly a £500 graphics card, a £1,000 iPhone, as I said. Top of range is likely to nudge towards 100,000. This video script was written before the launch, and if all goes well, it'll be launched on the morning of the launch in Texas, 30th of November, well before that event opens, probably about 7 o'clock our time. By the way, I never got an invite. Over 2 million people paid a $150 deposit. Over the last few months, Cybertrucks have been seen out on the roads. Lately, they've been seen everywhere in the state. No, they're not likely to launch here, not ever. In the last few days, Cybertrucks have been delivered to and displayed in Tesla showrooms and retail parks and hotel lobbies, all fenced off, attracting crowds that Neil Armstrong could only have dreamed about back in 1969 when he returned from walking on the moon. I cannot say for certain about the success of the Cybertruck launch, but I suspect it will be absolutely huge, enormous, gigantic. I see no end. It does seem to be the bridge between a pickup and a luxury family sedan. It's even huger than the tallest pickup truck, closer to those monster wheel things that are about to appear at the O2. It'll replace the puny Land Rover and Range Rover. It will burn off even the top-of-the-range petrol or diesel GT super trucks at the lights in downtown Austin, Texas. And it will support local business. It's almost 100% made in the USA. No, I'm not going to mention the slogan about America and great. I will be making a follow-up video after the launch, once I've seen how it goes, and part of that will appear in my Friday night news roundup. Will it be anything else? Probably not, unless something dramatic happens, like real news. Well, I'm Dave, and please subscribe. I know most of you haven't. YouTube tells me so. It makes such a difference to the channel, far more difference than the click that is all you need to do to subscribe. Please click.